Gloria Hayes scrubbed Sterling's floors, asking only for quiet dignity. To Richard Sterling, the billionaire CEO, she was nothing but a black janitor to mock, a servant to humiliate. In front of his executives, he forced her to crawl like a dog, their laughter echoing off the glass walls. They thought she was broken, invisible, powerless. But Sterling couldn't see what lived behind Gloria's silence. 40 years of resilience, a mind sharper than they imagined, and the will to fight back. He believed he owned her dignity. He was wrong. By morning, she would own his empire's ruin. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The marble floors gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, reflecting Gloria Hayes's weary movements as she pushed her cleaning cart through Sterling Dynamics' empty hallways. Her worn navy blue uniform hung loose on her frame, a testament to years of hard work and careful budgeting. The building felt different at night, silent, except for the soft swish of her mop and the distant hum of emergency lighting. Gloria hummed quietly, a habit from years of solitary night shifts. The melody was an old gospel tune her mother used to sing, a soft reminder of home and dignity. Each stroke of the mop was precise, methodical. She took pride in her work, even when others saw her as invisible. To Gloria, cleanliness was a form of respect, for the space, for herself. The executive floor always required extra attention. These marble surfaces weren't just floors. They were statements of power. Gloria knew every inch of the building, knew how to make expensive surfaces shine so brightly that the executives could see their reflections. A cruel metaphor she often thought about during long, quiet nights. As she rounded the corner near the main boardroom, sounds of laughter and clinking glasses caught her attention. Unusual for this late hour. Most executives would have gone home by now. Gloria hesitated, her hand gripping the mop handle a bit tighter. The boardroom door was slightly ajar. Voices spilled out, loud, drunk, aggressive. Richard Sterling's distinctive laugh cut through the noise like a knife. Gloria knew that laugh. It was the sound of power without accountability. She should keep cleaning, keep her head down, keep her job. But something made her pause. Something made her listen. Inside the boardroom, Richard Sterling stood at the head of a long mahogany table. Half-empty whiskey glasses were scattered around, expensive suits rumpled, ties loosened. 5 executives surrounded him, hanging on his every word, their laughter a chorus of performative appreciation. "Look who we have here!" Sterling's voice boomed as he spotted Gloria through the partially open door. His eyes glinted with a malicious spark. "Well, well, seems we have some late-night entertainment." Gloria froze. Her heart raced, but her face remained impassive. Years of workplace survival had taught her to reveal nothing. Come in," Sterling beckoned, his tone a command disguised as an invitation. The executives turned, their drunk eyes sizing her up like she was some curiosity. Gloria knew that look. It was the look of men who saw her as less than human. "Seems our little cleaning lady wants to join the party," Sterling continued, his voice dripping with condescension. The other men laughed, a synchronized, practiced sound of corporate mockery. Gloria stepped forward, her grip on the mop handle tightening. She knew what was coming. She could feel it in the air, thick with alcohol and cruelty. "On your knees," Sterling suddenly commanded. "Show us how you clean these floors properly." Silence descended. The executives pulled out their phones, eager to document what was about to happen. Gloria could see the red recording lights blinking, capturing every moment of potential humiliation. Her mind raced. She thought of her daughter, of her mortgage, of the stack of bills waiting at home, of how easily she could be replaced. Slowly, mechanically, Gloria lowered herself to the marble floor. The executives erupted in laughter. Phones clicked. Richard Sterling watched, a triumphant smirk playing across his lips. Gloria crawled, each movement a battle between survival and something deeper. A rage that burned slow and steady in her core. The marble was cold against her hands. The men's laughter echoed off the expensive walls. When she reached the other side of the room, Sterling's laughter was loudest of all. "Good girl," he said, as if speaking to a dog. More photos, more videos, more laughter. Gloria said nothing. Did nothing except complete the degrading task, her inner fire carefully banked, invisible to these men who saw her as nothing. After what seemed like an eternity, the executives grew bored. They filed out, still laughing, still recording, still drunk on their own sense of power. Gloria remained on the floor long after they left. When silence finally returned, she sat on the stairs of the empty lobby. Tears mixed with a rage so profound it seemed to burn from the inside out. "One day," she whispered to herself, "you'll regret this." Morning crept into Sterling dynamics like a timid intruder. Sunlight painted golden stripes across the lobby's polished floors. The same floors Gloria had spent hours cleaning. Her shoulders ached from the night's work, but the pain in her muscles was nothing compared to the weight in her chest. Gloria stood by the elevator, one hand resting on her cleaning cart. The chrome doors reflected her image. Uniform wrinkled, dark circles under her eyes, hair slightly disheveled from the long night. But her posture remained straight, defiant. They might have made her crawl, but they couldn't make her slouch. The morning shift workers began trickling in, their designer shoes clicking against the marble. None of them looked at her. Gloria was used to this invisibility. It was part of the job. Clean their mess, but don't be seen. Keep their world spotless, but remain in the shadows. The elevator dinged softly. As Gloria waited for the doors to open, she heard quick, nervous footsteps approaching. From the corner of her eye, she saw Eric Thompson, one of the younger interns. She'd noticed him before, always buried in paperwork, always looking slightly overwhelmed. He was different from the others, less arrogant, more aware of the people around him. Eric glanced over his shoulder, checking if anyone was watching. His dress shirt was wrinkled, and his tie hung slightly crooked. He moved closer to Gloria, pretending to check his phone. "Ms. Hayes," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Gloria tensed. No one here ever called her by name, let alone with respect. Eric's hand moved swiftly, passing something small and black to her. "A USB drive. You'll want to see this," he said under his breath. "But be careful." Before Gloria could respond, Eric was already walking away, disappearing into the growing crowd of morning arrivals. She slipped the drive into her uniform pocket, her heart beating faster. The weight of it felt like a burning coal against her leg. The elevator finally arrived. Gloria pushed her cart inside, grateful to be alone. As the doors closed, she caught her reflection again. Something had changed in her eyes, a spark of possibility, where before there had only been exhaustion. The ride home felt longer than usual. Gloria's small car, with its squeaking brakes and temperamental air conditioning, carried her through familiar streets. Past the coffee shop where she sometimes treated herself on payday. Past the school where her daughter had graduated. Past all the places that marked her life. A life of hard work and careful dignity. Her apartment building stood tired but proud in the morning light. Gloria parked in her usual spot, gathering her things slowly. The USB drive felt heavy in her pocket, like it carried more than just data. Inside her apartment, Gloria moved through her morning routine on autopilot. She hung up her uniform, made a cup of strong coffee, and pulled out her old laptop from the drawer beside her bed. The computer had seen better days. Its case was cracked at the corners, and some of the keys were worn smooth from use. But it still worked, and right now, that's all she needed. Gloria's hands trembled slightly as she inserted the drive. The screen flickered, then showed the contents. A single video file and several other documents with strange names. Long strings of numbers and letters that made no sense. She clicked the video file. The boardroom appeared on her screen, looking different in the harsh light of her laptop. The sound came through tinny and distorted, but clear enough. She watched herself enter the frame, watched Sterling's cruel smile, watched herself lower to her knees. Gloria's stomach churned. Her coffee sat forgotten, growing cold beside her. On screen, the executives laughed and jeered, their voices a chorus of privilege and cruelty. She forced herself to keep watching, even as tears threatened to fall. But something caught her eye, a detail she hadn't noticed in the moment. In the background of the video, behind Sterling's performative dominance, there were papers scattered on the boardroom table. Documents with red stamps, spreadsheets, what looked like offshore bank statements. Gloria minimized the video and looked at the other files on the drive. Most wouldn't open. They were locked behind passwords and encryption. But their names hinted at something bigger. Cayman Transfer 22, Singapore, Holdings, Board Oversight, Override. The morning sun now streamed through her small window, casting shadows across her laptop screen. Gloria sat back in her chair, her mind racing. The humiliation she'd endured was there, documented in cruel clarity. But there was more. Much more. "This isn't just about me," she muttered, staring at her cracked laptop screen. "Something else is here." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she studied the encrypted file names again. Each one seemed to hint at secrets buried in Sterling Dynamics' gleaming tower. Secrets that powerful men thought would stay hidden forever. Just like they thought no one would care about how they treated a night shift janitor. The USB drive blinked its small red light steadily, like a tiny heartbeat. On her screen, the paused video showed the boardroom frozen in time. A moment of cruelty that might have revealed far more than Sterling and his executives ever intended. Gloria stared at her reflection in the elevator's polished doors. She had put on her best blouse, the dark blue one she saved for special occasions, and even applied a touch of lipstick. The formal complaint form felt heavy in her hands, each box checked with careful precision, each detail documented with painful clarity. The HR department occupied the 32nd floor, all glass walls and modern furniture. Gloria's footsteps echoed on the hardwood as she approached the reception desk, where a young woman with perfectly styled hair barely glanced up from her computer. "I need to speak with Karen Whitmore," Gloria said, keeping her voice steady. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but this is important." Gloria held up the complaint form. "It's about a serious incident." The receptionist sighed, picked up her phone, and spoke in hushed tones. After a moment, she pointed to a row of chairs. "Ms. Whitmore will see you shortly." Gloria sat, her back straight, hands folded in her lap. Through the glass walls, she could see people hurrying past, carrying coffee cups and tablets, living in a different world than the one she cleaned every night. 20 minutes crawled by before Karen Whitmore emerged from her office. "Mrs. Hayes," Karen said, her voice cool and professional. "Please come in." Karen's office was immaculate, all clean lines and minimalist decoration. A large window offered a view of the city below, where people looked like ants scurrying between towers of glass and steel. Karen settled behind her desk, gesturing for Gloria to take a seat across from her. "What seems to be the problem?" Karen asked, though her tone suggested she already knew. Gloria's hands trembled slightly as she placed the complaint form on the desk. "2 nights ago, Mr. Sterling and several executives," she paused, steadying her voice. "They forced me to crawl on my hands and knees while they laughed and recorded it. It was humiliating and discriminatory. Karen's face remained perfectly composed as she picked up the form, her French manicured nails tapping against the paper. "That's quite an accusation, Mrs. Hayes. Do you have any evidence to support this claim?" Gloria thought of the USB drive hidden at home. There were multiple witnesses. They recorded it on their phones. "I see." Karen's smile was thin, practiced. "Well, we take all complaints seriously here at Sterling Dynamics. We'll conduct a thorough investigation into the matter." She slipped the form into a folder. "Is there anything else? When will I hear back about the investigation?" "We'll be in touch once we've looked into it." Karen stood, signaling the end of the meeting. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Mrs. Hayes." Gloria left the office feeling unsettled. Something in Karen's smile, in the mechanical way she'd handled the complaint, set off warning bells. But she had done it. She had officially reported Sterling's behavior. There would have to be consequences now. Later that afternoon, Gloria used her cleaning cart pass to access the HR floor again. She needed to add one detail she'd forgotten to the complaint. But when she approached the receptionist's desk, the young woman looked at her with barely concealed hostility. "Ms. Whitmore is in meetings all afternoon," she said before Gloria could speak. "That's fine. I just need to check something in my complaint file." The receptionist's fingers flew across her keyboard. "I'm not showing any complaint filed under your name today." Gloria's stomach dropped. "That's impossible. I was here this morning. Ms. Whitmore has the form." "I'm sorry, but there's nothing in the system." The click of heels on hardwood made Gloria turn. Karen Whitmore stood there, her face a mask of professional concern. "Mrs. Hayes, could I speak with you privately?" They walked to a small conference room. Karen closed the door and turned to face Gloria, all pretense of warmth gone from her expression. "Let me be very clear," Karen said, her voice low and precise. "Sterling Dynamics values its employees who understand their role in the company. Your complaint has been noted, but pursuing this further would be unwise. You deleted my complaint. What I did was protect you from yourself." Karen stepped closer. "You have a job here, Mrs. Hayes, a steady paycheck, benefits. Do you really want to jeopardize all that over one misunderstanding?" "Misunderstanding?" Gloria's voice shook with anger. "He made me crawl like an animal." "Drop it," Karen said sharply. "If you want to keep your job, drop it now. This is your only warning." Before Gloria could respond, Karen's phone buzzed. She checked it and smiled. "Oh, and due to recent budget adjustments, your hours are being reduced, effective immediately. You'll find your new schedule in your employee portal." Gloria stood frozen as Karen walked out, her heels clicking a sharp rhythm on the floor. The message was clear. She had been marked as trouble. The evening sun was setting as Gloria left the building, casting long shadows between the skyscrapers. She checked her phone and saw the notification. Her hours had been cut in half. 20 years of faithful service, of showing up every night, of cleaning up other people's messes without complaint. And this was what it got her. The betrayal felt physical, like a weight pressing on her chest. They had taken her dignity, her complaint, and now half her income. She was cornered, and they knew it. They expected her to break, to give up, to crawl back into her place. A chill wind whipped between the buildings as Gloria stood on the sidewalk, watching the last rays of sunlight reflect off the windows above. Inside that gleaming tower, they thought they had won. They thought they had silenced her. The digital clock on Gloria's nightstand blinked 2:17 a.m., its red glow casting shadows in her small bedroom. Sleep refused to come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Karen Whitmore's smug face, heard the executive's laughter echoing in her head. The USB drive sat on her desk, next to her old laptop, like a challenge. "Fine," she muttered. throwing off her covers. "Let's see what else you're hiding." The laptop hummed to life, its fan whirring loudly in the quiet apartment. Gloria plugged in the USB drive, this time looking past the video file that had made her stomach churn. There were other folders, dozens of them, with names that looked like random strings of numbers and letters. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She wasn't great with computers, but her teenage son had taught her a few things before he left for college. She clicked through the folders, squinting at file names that made no sense. "Come on," she whispered, opening file after file. Most were gibberish, encrypted data that looked like nonsense. But then she found something readable. A spreadsheet. The numbers were huge, with commas and zeros stretching across the cells. Dates, account numbers, and names of foreign banks filled the columns. Gloria leaned closer to the screen. One transfer caught her eye. $50 million to something called Cayman Holdings Limited. Another showed regular payments to numbered accounts in Switzerland. She might not understand all the financial terms, but she knew what guilt looked like. These weren't normal business transactions. They were hiding something. A memory surfaced. Breakroom gossip from years ago. Whispers about an accountant who'd tried to expose Sterling's dirty dealings. What was his name? Marcus Green. They'd destroyed him, turned him into a cautionary tale about loyalty. Gloria grabbed her phone and opened her browser. It took nearly an hour of searching, but she found him. Marcus Green had been Sterling Dynamics' senior accountant for 15 years before being fired for false allegations. The company had sued him into oblivion, his reputation shattered. The sun was rising when Gloria finally found his address, a rundown apartment complex on the other side of town. She showered quickly, pulled on jeans and a sweater, and headed out before she could talk herself out of it. The morning was gray and drizzly, matching the mood of Marcus's neighborhood. The apartment building looked like it hadn't seen maintenance in decades. Paint peeled from the walls, and the stairwell smelled of mildew. Gloria climbed to the third floor, her heart pounding with each step. She stood before apartment 3C, took a deep breath, and knocked. Nothing. She knocked again, louder this time. "Who is it?" A gruff voice called from inside. "Mr. Green? My name is Gloria Hayes. I work at Sterling Dynamics. I need to talk to you about Richard Sterling." Silence. Then the sound of multiple locks being undone. The door opened a crack, held by a security chain. A man's face appeared, probably in his 50s, with graying hair and tired eyes that held a sharp intelligence. "You're either brave or stupid," he said. "Which is it?" Gloria held up the USB drive. "I found something. Financial records. I think you might understand them better than I do." Marcus studied her for a long moment, then closed the door. Gloria heard the chain sliding, and the door reopened fully. "Come in, but make it quick." The apartment was small and cluttered, but not messy. Books lined every wall, and a desk held 3 computer monitors showing scrolling data. Empty coffee cups littered every surface. "Sit," Marcus said, pointing to a worn armchair. He took the USB drive from her and plugged it into one of his computers. Gloria watched his face as he examined the files. His expression shifted from skepticism to intense focus, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he opened file after file. "Where did you get this?" he asked, not looking away from the screen. "An intern gave it to me. After Sterling." She swallowed hard. "After he humiliated me in front of his executives." Marcus finally turned to face her. "They recorded it, didn't they? Sterling always needs an audience for his cruelty." Gloria nodded. "These files," Marcus gestured to the screen, "they're exactly what I found 5 years ago. Offshore accounts, money laundering, bribes to regulators. Sterling's built his empire on fraud and corruption. I tried to expose it." He laughed bitterly. "Look where that got me." "But with this evidence..." "Evidence." Marcus stood suddenly, pacing the small room. You think evidence matters? Sterling owns judges, politicians, newspapers. He buried me with lawsuits, branded me a liar, turned my own family against me. He stopped, fixing Gloria with an intense stare. You're stepping into something that will eat you alive. They already took my dignity, Gloria said quietly. Cut my hours, threatened my job. What else can they take? Everything. Marcus's voice was heavy with experience. They'll destroy your reputation, your career, your relationships. They'll make you doubt your own sanity. Sterling doesn't just beat his enemies, he erases them. Gloria stood, straightening her back. The same fire that had burned in her eyes the night of her humiliation flickered to life again. Can you help me understand these files? Really understand what they mean? Marcus studied her for a long moment. You're not going to back down, are you? No. He sighed, running a hand through his gray hair. Leave the USB. Come back tomorrow night. I'll show you what we're dealing with. He walked to the door, then turned back. Gloria? They will try to break you. Are you sure about this? Gloria stepped into the hallway, her voice steady and quiet. Then let them try. Gloria's footsteps echoed through Sterling Dynamics' empty parking garage. The evening shift always started this way, quiet and lonely. Her cleaning cart's squeaky wheel needed oil, its familiar rattle keeping her company as she made her way to the employee locker room. Something felt off the moment she pushed open the heavy metal door. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting uneven shadows across the rows of dented gray lockers. Her nose caught the sharp smell of something chemical. Her locker, number 247, came into view. The door hung open, its hinges twisted. Gloria's steps slowed, her heart beginning to pound against her ribs. "No, no, no," she whispered, rushing forward. The inside of her locker was a nightmare. Someone had dumped bleach over everything. Her spare uniform was shredded, the fabric falling apart in clumps. But what made her hands shake were the photos, her precious photos. The picture of her son's graduation, now bleached white and torn down the middle. The old photo of her mother, gone. 20 years of memories, destroyed. A piece of paper fluttered to the floor. Gloria picked it up, her fingers trembling. The message was typed in bold letters. Stay quiet. She sank onto the wooden bench, clutching the ruined photo of her son. The image of his proud smile, now dissolved by chemicals, blurred through her tears. But these weren't just tears of sadness. Hot anger rose in her chest, making her whole body tense. Her phone buzzed, making her jump. Marcus's name flashed on the screen. "Gloria, where are you?" His voice was urgent, almost panicked. "At work. Someone destroyed my—" "Get out of there, now!" Marcus spoke quickly, his words tumbling over each other. "Sterling has people everywhere. Security guards, janitors, maintenance workers. They're all his eyes. I've been monitoring the company's internal communications. They know about the USB. They're looking for you." Gloria stood, scanning the locker room. The shadows suddenly seemed deeper, more threatening. "But my shift? Forget the shift. They're not just trying to scare you anymore. This is how it started with me. First the warnings, then—" Marcus's voice caught. "Just get somewhere safe. Don't go home. Don't use your credit cards. They'll track everything." A door slammed somewhere in the building. Gloria's breath caught in her throat. "I hear someone," she whispered into the phone. "Back exit, now. Don't let anyone see you." Gloria grabbed her purse and moved quietly toward the emergency exit. Footsteps echoed from the hallway, heavy, purposeful steps. Not another cleaner. She pushed through the exit door as slowly as possible, trying to minimize its creaking. The cold night air hit her face as she stepped into the alley behind the building. Her phone buzzed again. "Are you out?" Marcus asked. "Yes, but I can't just run forever. Listen to me. I tried fighting them alone. That's why they won. You need to—" Gloria cut him off. "No, I'm not hiding." She touched her pocket, feeling the USB drive safely tucked away. "They want me scared. They want me small. Just like when Sterling made me crawl. Gloria, please." "You know what's on this drive, Marcus. It's not just about the money, is it? These aren't just account numbers. This is evidence of real crimes. People they've hurt. Lives they've ruined." Silence filled the line. Finally, Marcus sighed. "There's more than I told you this morning. The offshore accounts? They're connected to labor violations, environmental crimes, bribes to cover up workplace accidents. 3 workers died last year in Sterling's factories overseas. The company paid to make it disappear." Gloria started walking, her steps getting faster as anger fueled her movements. "Then we use it all. Every piece of evidence, every dirty secret. We don't just expose Sterling. We burn his whole corrupt empire to the ground. They'll come after you harder than before. You saw what they did to your locker. Next time, we'll be ready." Gloria's voice was steel. "You tried to fight them alone, Marcus. But I'm not alone. I have you. We have the truth. And soon, we'll have more allies." The wind picked up, sending trash skittering across the sidewalk. Gloria pulled her coat tighter, the USB drive pressing against her side like a weapon. "What's your plan?" Marcus asked. "First, we organize everything on the drive. Every document, every transaction, every crime. Then we find others. People Sterling has hurt. Workers he's abused. Build a case so strong they can't bury it. And if they threaten you again?" Gloria thought of her destroyed photos, of her son's smile dissolved by bleach. But instead of fear, she felt her resolve harden. Let them threaten. Each threat is just more proof of who they really are. More evidence for when we take them down. She turned down a dark street, streetlights casting long shadows. The night was cold, but Gloria barely felt it. The fire inside her burned too hot. This isn't about survival anymore, Marcus. This is war. She gripped the USB drive through her pocket. And in war, you don't just defend, you fight back. Where are you going now? Somewhere they won't look. Tomorrow, we start building our case. Tonight, I plan our next move. The sound of distant traffic filled the silence between them. Finally, Marcus spoke again. His voice different now, less afraid, more determined. I'll start decrypting the rest of the files. There's more evidence we haven't found yet. Be careful, Gloria. You too, she said, ending the call. The fluorescent lights of Mike's all-night diner buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glow on the cracked vinyl booths. Gloria sat in the furthest corner, nursing a lukewarm coffee while watching the door. The place was nearly empty at this hour, just a sleepy waitress and an old man reading his newspaper at the counter. Marcus arrived first, his weathered laptop bag clutched tightly against his chest. He slid into the booth across from Gloria, his eyes darting around the diner. "Anyone follow you?" he asked, voice low. Gloria shook her head. "I took 3 different buses to get here, walked the last few blocks." The bell above the door chimed. Eric Thompson stepped in, looking even more nervous than usual in his rumpled dress shirt. He spotted them and hurried over, nearly tripping on his own feet. "Sorry I'm late," he whispered, sliding in next to Marcus. "Had to make sure no one from the office saw me leave." Gloria studied the young intern's face. "You sure you want to be part of this? There's no going back once you're in." Eric's hands fidgeted with a paper napkin. "What they did to you? What they're still doing? I can't just watch anymore." Marcus opened his laptop, positioning it so the screen faced away from the rest of the diner. Show me what you found in the shredding room. Eric pulled out his phone, hands shaking slightly as he pulled up photos. They've been destroying documents all week. Mr. Sterling himself came down to supervise on Tuesday. I've never seen him on the lower floors before. Gloria leaned forward, examining the photos of shredded papers. Some fragments were still readable. Dates, dollar amounts, company names. Marcus typed rapidly, his fingers flying over the keyboard. These match the patterns in the offshore accounts. Look here. He turned the screen slightly. Gloria squinted at the complex web of transactions displayed on the screen. Explain it to me in simple terms. Sterling Dynamics isn't just one company, Marcus said, pointing to different nodes in the diagram. They've created dozens of fake businesses, empty shells that only exist on paper. Money flows between them, getting cleaned along the way. Laundering, Gloria said. Marcus nodded. But it's more than that. These shell companies hide everything. Workplace violations, environmental crimes, bribes to officials. When someone starts asking questions about one company, they shut it down and move everything to another. Eric's face had gone pale. That's why they needed the shredder. Physical evidence. Which means they're scared, Gloria said, feeling a surge of hope. They wouldn't be destroying evidence if they weren't worried. The waitress approached their table. They fell silent as she refilled their coffee cups, waiting until she was well out of earshot before continuing. Marcus pulled up another screen. I've identified their weakest points. Small leaks at first. Just enough to get attention without showing our full hand. What about the video? Eric asked. The one of that night? Gloria's hands tightened around her coffee cup. Not yet. That's our nuclear option. We start with the money. Marcus turned his laptop toward her. I've set up an anonymous account. We can upload documents through a series of proxies. Make it impossible to trace back to us. Which files first? Gloria asked. Eric pointed to one of the folders on the screen. These transactions. They're recent, and they connect directly to Sterling's personal accounts. He's been siphoning money from worker pension funds. Perfect, Marcus said grimly. People's retirement savings. That'll get attention. They worked for the next hour, carefully selecting which documents to leak. Gloria watched as Marcus explained each step of the technical process, making sure she understood how to do it herself if needed. Finally, everything was ready. The first batch of files, just enough to hint at the larger scandal, sat ready to upload. Once we do this, Marcus warned, there's no taking it back. Sterling will know someone has the files. He already knows, Gloria said, thinking of her destroyed locker. But he doesn't know how much we have. Eric's phone buzzed. He checked it and jumped up. I have to get back. They'll notice if I'm gone too long. Be careful, Gloria said. Act normal. Don't let anyone see you're nervous. Eric nodded and hurried out, the bell chiming again as he left. Marcus turned the laptop toward Gloria. You should do it. It's your fight. You should take the first shot. Gloria stared at the upload button, her finger hovering over the touchpad. In her mind, she saw Sterling's sneering face as he ordered her to crawl. She heard the executive's laughter, felt the shame and rage burning in her chest. Her hand trembled slightly as she moved the cursor into position. One click, and they would be at war. No turning back. For everyone they've hurt, she whispered, and pressed upload. The progress bar moved slowly across the screen. 10%, 25, 50. Gloria held her breath, watching the numbers climb. It's done, Marcus said quietly as the upload completed. Gloria let out a long breath, feeling lighter somehow. After days of being hunted, of feeling powerless, she had finally struck back. How long until someone notices? She asked. These files will hit several financial watchdog sites simultaneously. By morning, people will be asking questions. Marcus began packing up his laptop. Sterling's PR team will try to spin it, but they won't be able to hide everything. Gloria took one last sip of her cold coffee, leaving a few dollars on the table for the waitress. Then we'd better get ready. This is just the beginning. Marcus's cramped studio apartment smelled of instant coffee and stale pizza. 3 laptops hummed on his cluttered dining table, their screens casting a blue glow across the room. Gloria sat between Marcus and Eric, refreshing social media feeds as their leaked documents spread like wildfire across the internet. "Look at this one," Eric said, pointing to his screen. "Sterling scandal is trending." He scrolled through a thread of angry tweets. People are connecting the dots between the pension fund transfers and Sterling's new yacht. Marcus leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. The financial blogs are having a field day. They're breaking down the shell companies one by one. Gloria's phone buzzed. Another notification. She clicked on a new video that was gaining traction. Someone had edited together clips of Sterling's public speeches, highlighting his racist jokes and discriminatory comments. The comments section boiled with outrage. "Corporate news isn't touching it yet," Marcus noted, scanning major news sites. "They're waiting to see how Sterling responds." As if on cue, Eric's laptop pinged. "Press release from Sterling Dynamics," he announced, reading quickly. "Listen to this garbage. Recent allegations circulating online represent a coordinated disinformation campaign against our company. These doctored documents and out-of-context quotes are clearly the work of disgruntled former employees seeking to damage our reputation. Sterling Dynamics maintains the highest standards of financial transparency and workplace equality." Gloria snorted. "Highest standards of equality? Tell that to my bruised knees." "They're scared," Marcus said, studying Sterling's statement. "Look how fast they responded. Usually, they ignore accusations until they have to address them." A new wave of notifications flooded their screens. Sterling himself was giving an emergency interview on Business News. They watched as he smiled smoothly at the camera, looking relaxed in an expensive suit. "These attacks are sadly common in today's digital age," Sterling said, his voice dripping with fake sincerity. "Anyone can create fake documents and spread lies online. We've dealt with similar situations before. Disgruntled ex-employees, failed job applicants, people looking for quick settlements. Our legal team is tracking the source of these false allegations." "Failed job applicants?" Gloria's voice shook with anger. "I've worked in his building for 6 years." Eric's phone chimed with a text. His face went pale. "Security teams are sweeping the office floors. They're checking everyone's computers." "They won't find anything," Marcus assured him. "We covered our tracks." Gloria's own phone lit up with messages from concerned neighbors. Her heart stopped when she opened the first one, a photo of her car parked outside her apartment. The windows were smashed in, glass scattered across the pavement. Another message showed her front door, where someone had painted in bold red letters, "Stop now!" "They found me," she whispered, showing the others. Marcus cursed under his breath. "We knew they would retaliate. Are you safe at home? You can stay here." "No," Gloria cut him off, standing up. "I need to see it myself. I need my neighbors to see I'm not hiding." "I'll drive you," Eric offered, grabbing his keys. The ride to Gloria's apartment was tense and silent. When they pulled up, a small crowd of neighbors had gathered around her vandalized car. They scattered as Gloria approached, hurrying into their homes or turning away. Only Mrs. Rodriguez, her elderly next-door neighbor, stayed. "Gloria, mi hija," the old woman said softly. "What have you gotten into? These are dangerous people." Gloria stood before her destroyed car, glass crunching under her feet. The red threat on her door seemed to glow in the streetlight. Her hands clenched into fists as she felt her neighbors watching from behind their curtains. "They think they can scare me into silence," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Mrs. Rodriguez touched her arm. Maybe it's better to be quiet. To stay safe. That's what they want," Gloria replied. "They want us all quiet and scared, looking the other way while they steal and abuse and destroy lives." She turned to face the windows where her neighbors hid. "They smashed my car because they're afraid. They're afraid of the truth coming out." Eric shifted uncomfortably beside her. "We should document this. Take pictures for evidence." Gloria nodded, pulling out her phone. As she photographed the damage, she noticed curtains twitching, faces appearing and disappearing in windows. Her neighbors were listening, watching, even if they were too afraid to stand with her. "Mrs. Rodriguez," she said gently to the worried woman, "remember last year when your grandson got sick and you couldn't afford the medicine because Sterling cut the health benefits? Remember how many others in this building suffered? That's why I'm fighting." The old woman's eyes filled with tears. "See, I remember. My Carlos, he was so sick. They want us divided," Gloria continued, her voice carrying in the quiet street. "They want us afraid of each other, because if we stand together—" She paused, looking at the threatening message on her door. "If we stand together, they can't stop us from exposing the truth." A few doors creaked open. A couple of neighbors stepped out onto their porches, not coming close, not speaking up, but no longer hiding. It was a small thing, but Gloria felt the shift in the air. Eric touched her shoulder. "We should get this cleaned up. I'll help." Gloria took one last photo of her car, then straightened her back. "Yes," she said. "We clean up. We document. We keep fighting." She met the eyes of those watching. "And we remember who did this." The next morning, Marcus picked Gloria up in his beat-up Honda. The car sputtered and shook as they drove through downtown, past the gleaming Sterling Dynamics tower that cast long shadows over the street. "This journalist," Gloria said, clutching her USB drive. "You trust her?" Marcus nodded, navigating through traffic. "Vanessa Cruz. She's made a career out of exposing corporate criminals. 3 years ago, she brought down Pacific Industries for worker abuse. Last year, she uncovered embezzlement at National Bank." He glanced at Gloria. "She's the real deal." They pulled into the parking lot of a small coffee shop on the edge of town. The place looked worn but clean, with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. A woman sat alone in the corner booth, typing intensely on a laptop. "That's her," Marcus said quietly. Vanessa Cruz looked up as they approached. She was dressed simply in jeans and a blazer, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Sharp eyes studied them from behind stylish glasses. "Marcus," she said warmly, standing to shake his hand. "And you must be Gloria." Her handshake was firm, respectful. "Please, sit. I ordered coffee for everyone." Gloria slid into the booth, noting how Vanessa had chosen a spot with a clear view of both exits. A waitress brought over 3 steaming mugs. "Marcus filled me in on the basics," Vanessa said, closing her laptop. "But I want to hear everything from you, Gloria. Start from the beginning." Gloria took a deep breath. She described that night in the boardroom, her voice steady even as the memory made her stomach clench. Vanessa's expression remained professional, but her knuckles whitened around her coffee mug. "You have video of this?" Vanessa asked. Gloria pulled out the USB drive. "Not just the video. Financial records, offshore accounts, evidence of bribery." She placed it carefully on the table. "Sterling's whole corrupt empire is on here." Vanessa plugged the drive into her laptop, her eyes widening as she scanned through the files. "This is extraordinary. The racist abuse alone would be damaging, but these financial records..." She looked up at Gloria. "Do you understand what you've uncovered?" These transactions through shell companies in the Cayman Islands, this is massive tax fraud. The pension fund diversions, the kickbacks to city officials. Can you publish it? Gloria asked. All of it? With proper verification, absolutely. Vanessa was already taking notes. We'll need to work fast. Once Sterling knows we're moving on this, he'll try to block publication. She turned to Marcus. Can you help me trace these transactions? We need ironclad proof of the money trail. Marcus nodded. I've already mapped out most of it. I can show you how they buried the evidence. Good. Vanessa's fingers flew across her keyboard. I'll need statements from other employees who've witnessed Sterling's behavior. Eric, the intern who gave you the drive, would he go on record? I'll ask him, Gloria said. There might be others too, now that they see someone standing up. Perfect. Vanessa outlined her plan. I'll spend the next few days verifying everything. Then we'll publish a comprehensive exposé, front page, Sunday edition, the video, the financial crimes, the systematic abuse. We'll release it all at once, too much for Sterling to fight. Hope bloomed in Gloria's chest. Fragile, but real. How long? Give me 1 week to build an airtight case. Sterling will try to discredit you, claim the evidence is fake. We need to be thorough. Vanessa's eyes gleamed with determination. When this hits, it will destroy him. They spent the next hour going through details. Vanessa recorded Gloria's statement, asked precise questions about dates and times, and took photos of the vandalism to her car and home. One more thing, Vanessa said, as they prepared to leave. Sterling will probably offer you money to stay quiet. A lot of money. Gloria straightened her shoulders. I don't want his money. I want justice. Vanessa smiled. That's exactly what I needed to hear. She stood, gathering her materials. Keep your head down this week. Act normal at work. Don't give them any reason to suspect what's coming. Outside, the afternoon sun had broken through the clouds. Marcus offered to drive Gloria home, but she wanted to walk, needed time to process everything. Be careful, he called after her. We're close now. Don't take any chances. Gloria walked slowly through her neighborhood, past corner stores and small apartments. Children played basketball in a cramped court. Old men played dominoes on card tables set up on the sidewalk. This was her world, so different from Sterling's towering offices and marble floors. She thought about her neighbors, scared but watching from their windows last night. About Mrs. Rodriguez's grandson, sick because Sterling cut their health benefits. About Eric, young and frightened but brave enough to do the right thing. About Marcus, who lost everything trying to expose the truth and never stopped fighting. The setting sun painted the sky in deep purples and oranges. Gloria looked up at the stars just beginning to appear. After years of grinding work, of swallowing her pride, of being treated like she was nothing, justice was finally within reach. It's finally happening, she whispered to the night sky, allowing herself, for the first time, to truly believe it. Gloria woke to sunlight streaming through her bedroom window. The expected day of the exposé had arrived, but something felt wrong. The morning was too quiet, too still. She reached for her phone, heart sinking when she saw no notifications from Vanessa. The past week had crawled by. She'd kept her head down at work, mopping floors and emptying trash, while pretending not to notice Sterling's smug face when he passed her in the hallways. Each night, she'd checked news websites, waiting for the story to break. Now, silence. She turned on the TV, flipping to the news channels. Nothing about Sterling Dynamics. Her hands trembled as she dialed Vanessa's number. It rang 4 times before connecting. Gloria? Vanessa's voice was thick with tears. Where's the story? Gloria's throat tightened. It was supposed to run today. A choked sob came through the phone. "I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry." Vanessa took a shuddering breath. Sterling's lawyers descended on the paper yesterday. They threatened lawsuits that would bankrupt us. The editor, he killed the story. Gloria sat heavily on her bed. But the evidence? They don't care about the truth. Bitterness crept into Vanessa's voice. The owners only care about protecting their money. They won't risk it, not against Sterling's legal team. "We can try another paper," Gloria said desperately. "Or put it online." A loud crash from her living room cut her off. Heavy footsteps thundered through her small apartment. "Someone's here," Gloria whispered into the phone. "They're—" "Get out!" Vanessa shouted. "Gloria, run!" Gloria dropped the phone and grabbed her purse. Voices approached her bedroom, men speaking in low, professional tones. Sterling's security team. She could hear them ransacking her apartment, overturning furniture, searching. The bedroom door handle started to turn. Gloria dove for her window. Thank God she lived on the first floor. She forced it open as the door burst inward. Two men in dark suits rushed in, but she was already halfway through the window. "Stop her!" one shouted. Gloria tumbled onto the grass, scraping her knees. She scrambled up and ran, her worn sneakers pounding against concrete. Behind her, she heard car doors slamming, engines starting. She cut through her neighbor's yard, vaulting a low fence. Mrs. Rodriguez stood frozen on her porch, watching with wide eyes as Gloria sprinted past. "They're taking everything!" Gloria called out. "Don't let them in your house!" A black SUV screeched around the corner ahead of her. Gloria darted down an alley between buildings, knocking over trash cans behind her. Her lungs burned. She could hear footsteps pursuing her, getting closer. The alley opened onto a busy street. Gloria merged into the morning crowd, trying to slow her breathing. She glanced back. The men in suits were scanning the sidewalk, speaking into radio earpieces. She ducked into a coffee shop, hurrying through to the back exit. As she burst out into another alley, her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "They hit my place too. Everything's gone. Get somewhere safe." Gloria's vision blurred with tears of rage and despair. Her laptop with the files, her phone with the evidence, even her personal photos and documents. All of it was being stolen while she ran like a criminal. Sirens wailed in the distance. She had no illusions about who the police would believe. Sterling's wealthy security team or an unstable janitor making false accusations. She kept moving, staying in back alleys, avoiding main streets. Her feet carried her automatically toward the poorest part of town, where cameras were broken and cops rarely patrolled. Here, graffiti-covered walls and forgotten people lived in the shadows. Finally, when her legs could carry her no further, Gloria crouched behind a rusty dumpster. The smell of rotting garbage made her gag, but she didn't dare move. Her whole body shook with exhaustion and fear. Everything was gone. The video proof of her humiliation, the financial records, all of it taken. Worse, they now knew she had evidence against Sterling. There would be no going back to normal, no quiet life possible now. A rat scurried past her feet. Gloria pressed her fist against her mouth to stifle a sob. How had it gone so wrong? She'd done everything right. Gathered evidence, found allies, gone to the press. But money and power had won again. Her phone buzzed one last time before dying. Another text from Marcus. "They're calling you a disgruntled employee spreading lies. It's all over social media. Sterling's PR team is destroying your reputation." Gloria leaned her head back against the grimy wall. The alley was silent except for distant traffic and the scrabbling of rats. Above her, a thin strip of sky was visible between the buildings, the same sky she'd looked at so hopefully just days ago. She thought of Sterling in his pristine office, laughing with his executives about the bitter janitor who dared to challenge him. She imagined Vanessa crying at her desk, her integrity crushed by corporate lawyers. She pictured Eric, probably terrified into silence, and Marcus, whose warnings had proved brutally true. A police car cruised slowly past the alley entrance. Gloria held her breath until it passed. She had lost everything: her job, her home, her evidence, her reputation. The truth itself had been stolen from her, replaced with Sterling's lies. The dumpster's shadow grew longer as the morning wore on. Gloria stayed hidden, trying to think past her panic. But every path forward seemed blocked, every ally neutralized, every hope crushed under the weight of Sterling's money and influence. She had nothing left. Again. Late afternoon shadows stretched across Marcus's cramped apartment as Gloria huddled on his worn couch. The small space smelled of instant coffee and desperation. Her body ached from running, and her mind raced with images of her ransacked home. "They took everything," she said, her voice hollow. "Every file, every piece of evidence." She stared at her trembling hands. Maybe this is it. Maybe they're too powerful. Marcus paced near the window, occasionally peeking through the dusty blinds. His apartment was even more sparse than usual. Shelves cleared, papers gone, laptop missing. Sterling's men had been thorough here too. "I warned you they'd come hard," he said, but there was no satisfaction in his tone. "When they destroyed me years ago, at least they left my furniture." He laughed bitterly. "Guess they're getting more aggressive." Gloria sank deeper into the couch. "What do we do now?" "We?" Marcus stopped pacing. "There might not be a we anymore, Gloria. They know about me helping you. They'll be watching. Maybe." He rubbed his face. "Maybe it's time to cut our losses." The words hung heavy in the air. Gloria felt tears threatening again, but forced them back. She'd cried enough today. A tentative knock at the door made them both freeze. Marcus grabbed a baseball bat from behind his desk, approaching cautiously. "Who is it?" he called. "It's Eric," came a whispered response. "Please, let me in. Quick." Marcus checked through the peephole, then opened the door. Eric stumbled in, looking pale and disheveled in his wrinkled intern's suit. "They're going crazy at the office," he said, collapsing into a chair. "Sterling's having everyone's phones checked, computers searched. They're paranoid about more leaks." He looked at Gloria. "I heard about what happened. I'm so sorry." Gloria stared at him. "Sorry doesn't help much now, does it? Everything's gone. They won." Eric fidgeted with his tie. Not everything." Both Gloria and Marcus straightened. "What do you mean?" Marcus demanded. Eric pulled out his phone with shaking hands. "When I first gave you the USB, Gloria, I kept a copy. Just the video of that night. Not the financial stuff, but—" He swallowed hard. "I hid it in a locked folder on my personal phone. They haven't found it." Gloria stood slowly, anger and hope warring in her chest. "You had this all along? While I was running for my life? While they were destroying everything I own?" "I was scared," Eric's voice cracked. "When I saw what they did to your place, to Marcus's, I didn't—" "You were protecting yourself," Marcus said flatly. "No, I mean, yes, but—" Eric held out his phone. "I brought it now. It's not much, but it's something. The world should see what kind of man Sterling really is." Gloria snatched the phone, fury making her movements sharp. The video was there, hidden behind several layers of security. She watched a few seconds. Sterling's cruel voice, the executive's laughter, her own humiliation. Her hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the phone. "I could have used this hours ago," she said through clenched teeth. "Before they destroyed my reputation. Before they painted me as crazy." "I know." Eric hung his head. I'm sorry. I was a coward. Marcus took the phone, examining it. Maybe this timing isn't so bad. Gloria turned to him. What do you mean? Think about it. They've thrown everything at you. Raids, threats, PR attacks. They think they've won. Their guard might be down. He handed the phone back. And this video, it's different from the financial evidence. That stuff is complicated, easy to deny. But this is pure evil, caught on camera. No corporate lawyer can spin a CEO forcing a black woman to crawl while rich white men laugh. Eric nodded eagerly. He's right. The financial stuff was important. But this is the story people will understand instantly. This is what will make them angry. Gloria paced the small room, mind racing. But how? The press won't touch it. Social media will bury it. So we go bigger, Marcus said. Multiple platforms at once. We make it impossible to ignore. No press, no middlemen, just you telling your story with undeniable proof. They'll come after me again, Gloria said quietly. They will, Marcus agreed. But this time, you'll have millions of witnesses. They can't raid the entire internet. Gloria sat back down, holding Eric's phone like it was made of glass. The weight of the decision pressed on her. She was so tired of fighting, of being afraid. Part of her wanted to walk away, to disappear into anonymity, and try to rebuild some quiet life far from here. But then she thought of Sterling's face as he ordered her to crawl, the sound of the executive's laughter, the sight of her ransacked home, the feeling of running like a criminal when she'd done nothing wrong. She thought of other workers at Sterling Dynamics, the cleaning staff, the maintenance crews, the low-level employees. How many of them had suffered in silence? How many more would suffer if she gave up now? If I do this, she said slowly, there's no going back. Marcus nodded. No, but maybe that's good. Maybe it's time to stop trying to go back and start pushing forward instead. Eric leaned forward. I'll help. For real this time. Whatever you need. Gloria stared at the phone, at the frozen image of her darkest moment. She had lost her job, her home, her reputation. But she still had her dignity. She still had her voice. She looked up at Marcus and Eric, her unlikely allies in this fight. If no one will speak for me, she whispered, steel entering her voice, I'll speak for myself. Gloria sat at Marcus's kitchen table, her finger hovering over the post button. The caption she'd written was simple, but powerful. This is what Sterling Dynamics does to its black workers. Her heart pounded so hard she could barely breathe. You're sure about this? Marcus asked, standing behind her chair. Once it's out there, I'm sure. Gloria pressed the button before she could change her mind. The video began uploading to multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Eric, who had been monitoring Sterling Dynamics' internal communications on his work phone, looked up. Nothing from the office yet. They don't know. The first few minutes were agonizing. Gloria refreshed the pages constantly, watching the view counter tick up slowly. 10 views, 50, 100. Give it time, Marcus said, pouring more coffee. His hands shook slightly as he set the cup in front of her. Social media's weird. Sometimes things take a few hours to... Look, Eric interrupted, pointing at his screen. The numbers were jumping faster now. 500 views. 1,000. The first comments started rolling in. Oh my God, this is disgusting. Is this for real? Who is this CEO? Gloria's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. Messages started pouring in from strangers. Her social media notifications exploded. 10,000 views, Eric reported, his voice tight with excitement. 20,000. It's spreading. Marcus turned on the TV, flipping through news channels. Nothing yet, but Gloria knew it was just a matter of time. Her hands were trembling so badly she had to set her coffee down. Someone just shared it to a major civil rights group's page, Eric said. And unbelievable. They have millions of followers. The view counter became a blur. Hashtags started trending. Sterling Dynamics. Justice for Gloria. For corporate racism. People were sharing their own stories of workplace abuse in the comments. The video was being reposted, shared, discussed in multiple languages. Gloria's phone rang, a number she didn't recognize. "Don't answer anything yet," Marcus warned. "Let it build. Let them chase you." Another hour passed in a surreal haze. The protest started small, just a few people gathering outside Sterling Dynamics with hastily made signs. But social media live streams showed the crowd growing steadily. College students, activists, workers from other companies. Their chants echoed up from the street. "Shame on Sterling. Justice for Gloria." 1 million views, Eric whispered. "It's been 3 hours." Local news vans appeared outside the Sterling building. Reporters were going live, showing the growing crowd. Gloria watched, feeling disconnected from reality, as they played clips from her video, carefully edited but still devastating. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing now. News outlets, radio stations, morning shows, even some of the same papers that had refused to run Vanessa's story were desperately trying to reach her. "Sterling's PR team just sent an emergency alert," Eric reported, checking his work messages. "They're calling it a misunderstanding and taken out of context." He scoffed. "Nobody's buying it." The protest crowd had swelled to fill the entire block. Police had set up barriers. Signs waved in the air. "Black Lives Matter at work too," and "Sterling must go," and "I stand with Gloria." "Your old co-workers are walking out," Eric said, scrolling through updates. "The cleaning staff, maintenance crew, cafeteria workers, they're all joining the protest. Even some of the office workers are leaving their desks." Gloria stood and walked to Marcus's window. From here, she could just barely see the edge of the crowd gathered around Sterling Dynamics building. The chants were louder now, carried on the wind. "Justice for Gloria! Justice for Gloria!" Her phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. "You brilliant woman! Every major outlet is running the story now. They can't ignore it anymore. Call me when you're ready." Marcus touched her shoulder gently. "You okay?" Gloria realized she was crying, but these weren't tears of shame or fear. She felt something she hadn't experienced in a long time. Power. Real power. Not the fake kind that Sterling wielded through money and cruelty. "Look at the comments," Eric said softly. "People are sharing their own videos now. Other workers, other companies. You started something bigger than Sterling." Gloria pressed her hand against the window glass. The setting sun painted the sky in fierce oranges and reds, like the city itself was on fire with righteous anger. The chants grew stronger, a wave of voices carried up from the streets below. "Justice for Gloria! Justice for Gloria!" "I was so afraid," she whispered. "For so long, I was terrified of them. Of him. But look!" She gestured at the scene below. "Look how many people were just waiting for someone to speak up. Look how many people were just waiting for proof that they weren't alone." "Sterling's lawyer is trying to get the video taken down," Eric reported, "but it's too late. It's everywhere now. News sites are hosting it. International media is picking it up. It's trending in Europe and Asia." Marcus squeezed her shoulder. "What do you want to do next?" Gloria watched another news van pull up to the protest. The crowd had filled 3 city blocks now. Signs waved. Voices rose. The truth, finally, was being heard. "Now," she said, her voice steady, "we tell the whole story, not just the video. Everything. The fraud, the threats, the cover-ups." She turned to face her allies. "But this time, we tell it with millions of people watching. The chants echoed up from the street, a chorus of justice that shook the very foundations of Sterling's empire. Justice for Gloria! Justice for Gloria! Sterling's emergency press conference was hastily arranged in the main lobby of Sterling Dynamics. Gloria, Marcus, and Eric watched it unfold on the massive wall-mounted TV in Marcus's apartment. The afternoon sun cast harsh shadows across Sterling's face as he stepped up to the podium, his usual confident smirk replaced by barely contained rage. The video circulating on social media is a malicious fabrication, Sterling declared, adjusting his red silk tie. Behind him, a row of executives shifted uncomfortably, their forced smiles cracking at the edges. It has been doctored by disgruntled former employees seeking to damage our company's reputation. Gloria leaned forward, studying the faces of the men who had laughed at her humiliation. They looked different now, scared, sweating under the bright camera lights. "Look at Johnson," Marcus whispered, pointing to a balding executive. "He's about to pass out." Sterling continued his prepared statement, but his hands trembled slightly as he gripped the podium. Sterling Dynamics has always maintained the highest standards of workplace conduct. We categorically deny any allegations of misconduct or discrimination. A reporter's voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Sterling, multiple employees have now come forward corroborating the events in the video. How do you respond?" Sterling's face twitched. "Those statements are lies, coordinated by—" Another reporter interrupted. "Sir, forensic video analysts have confirmed the footage is authentic. Would you care to comment?" The camera caught Sterling's moment of panic before he could mask it. Behind him, one of the executives discreetly stepped backward, trying to edge out of frame. "Stocks dropping," Eric reported, checking his phone. "Down 15% since the press conference started. Major shareholders are calling emergency meetings." On screen, Sterling was losing his composure. When a journalist asked about the company's history of discrimination complaints, he snapped, "That's absolutely ridiculous. This is nothing but a witch hunt by the liberal media and—" "Mr. Sterling," a voice rang out, "can you explain why your company's internal complaint system has no record of Gloria Hayes' HR report?" The question hit like a thunderbolt. Karen Whitmore, the HR head, visibly flinched. Sterling's face reddened as he jabbed a finger toward the reporters. "This press conference is over. Security, clear the lobby." But the journalists kept shouting questions. "What about the deleted complaint? Is it true you're facing a federal investigation? Why were employees ordered to shred documents last week?" Gloria watched Sterling storm off the podium, shoving past his own executives. The camera followed him as he grabbed one board member's arm, hissing something that made the man recoil. "Institutional investors are pulling out," Eric announced, scrolling through updates. 3 hedge funds just dumped their Sterling holdings. The stock's in freefall. On TV, the press conference had devolved into chaos. Some executives were trying to answer questions. Others were fleeing through side doors. Security guards struggled to control the crowd of reporters. "Breaking news," the anchor cut in. "The SEC has announced a formal investigation into Sterling Dynamics following allegations of financial misconduct. Sources say federal agents have already—" Sterling reappeared on screen, charging back to the podium. His face was purple with rage. "This company is my creation. I built it. And I will not stand here while some jumped-up janitor tries to destroy—" A board member tried to pull him away, but Sterling shoved him off. "Get your hands off me, all of you! You're nothing without me! Nothing!" The camera caught every second of his meltdown. Security finally managed to drag him away, but not before he knocked over the podium and screamed obscenities at the reporters. "Unbelievable," Marcus breathed. "He just imploded on national television." Gloria watched the chaos with an eerie calm. This was the man who had forced her to crawl, who had laughed at her dignity, who had threatened and terrorized her. Now he was the one falling apart. "More workers are walking out," Eric reported. "Not just here. Other Sterling offices across the country. London branch just announced a solidarity strike. Tokyo office is demanding his resignation." The TV showed live shots of the protest outside, which had swelled to fill 5 city blocks. Union leaders were giving speeches. Civil rights activists led chants. Workers from other companies had joined in solidarity. Sterling's face appeared again, this time through the tinted window of his private elevator. The camera caught his expression of pure hatred as he stared down at the protesters. For a moment, his eyes seemed to look directly into the lens, directly at Gloria through the screen. "You're slipping, Richard," she whispered, savoring each word. The mighty CEO who had tormented her was crumbling before her eyes. Marcus's phone buzzed. 3 board members just resigned, he announced. "They're distancing themselves before the SEC investigation hits." On screen, Sterling's luxury car peeled out of the underground garage, pursued by news vans and protesters. The anchor's voice cut through. "Sterling Dynamics stock has been temporarily halted after falling 40%. Trading will resume." Gloria stood and walked to the window. The sun was setting behind the skyscrapers, painting the sky in deep purples and golds. The chants from the protest echoed up from the streets below, a relentless wave of justice that was finally breaking over Sterling's empire. "What happens now?" Eric asked quietly. Gloria pressed her hand against the cool glass, watching Sterling's car disappear into the distance, pursued by a trail of flashing lights. "Now," she said, "we show them everything else we have. All of it. The fraud, the threats, the real dirt." She turned to face her allies, her eyes gleaming with cold satisfaction. "He thought he could bury the truth, but I'm done being buried." Dawn broke over the city as Gloria, Marcus, and Eric huddled in a cramped utility room deep within Sterling Dynamics. The annual shareholder meeting would begin in 2 hours, and they had worked through the night preparing their final assault. "Security's tighter than ever," Eric whispered, peeking through the door crack. "Sterling's got private guards at every entrance." Marcus sat cross-legged on the floor, his laptop casting a blue glow on his tired face. "Almost done patching into their network. This badge you grabbed, Eric, it's got admin access. Sterling's people got sloppy in the chaos." Gloria paced the small space, her footsteps silent from years of janitorial work. She'd walked these halls thousands of times, invisible to the executives who passed her. Today, they would see her. "Shareholders are arriving early," Eric reported, checking his phone. "Sterling's promising some big announcement to restore confidence in the company." "More like his last desperate play," Marcus muttered, typing furiously. "His legal team's been shredding documents all week. Too late, though. We've got everything." Gloria paused by the room's tiny window, watching luxury cars pull into the parking garage below. "How many people will be in there?" "Major shareholders, board members, press." Eric counted on his fingers. "At least 300. Plus the online stream going out to investors worldwide." Marcus's laptop chirped. "I'm in. Full access to their presentation system." He looked up at Gloria. "You sure about this?" "Once we start, there's no going back." Gloria touched the flash drive hanging from her neck, the one containing every damning piece of evidence they'd gathered. "I've been invisible in this building for 10 years, she said quietly. "Today, they see everything." The next 2 hours passed in tense preparation. They could hear the building coming alive above them, shoes clicking on marble, voices echoing through ventilation ducts, the distant ding of elevators. At 9:45 a.m., Eric's phone buzzed. "They're starting. Sterling just entered the main conference room." Marcus's fingers flew across his keyboard, pulling up multiple video feeds. The main screen showed Sterling approaching the podium, his trademark arrogance somewhat dented but still visible. Behind him, the massive presentation screen displayed the Sterling Dynamics logo. "Look at him," Gloria whispered. "Still thinking he can talk his way out of this?" Sterling tapped the microphone, his voice filling their small room through Marcus's laptop speakers. "Distinguished shareholders, members of the board, members of the press, thank you for coming today. Systems check complete," Marcus reported. "We can take over their feeds whenever you're ready." On screen, Sterling launched into his prepared speech. "The past week has seen our company face unprecedented attacks from disgruntled former employees and opportunistic media outlets. I'm here today to set the record straight." Gloria's hands clenched into fists as Sterling continued. The video circulating online was clearly doctored. "Our internal investigation has proven—" "Now!" Gloria commanded. Marcus pressed a key. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive screen behind Sterling flickered. "What the—" Sterling turned, confusion crossing his face as the corporate logo vanished. In its place appeared a crystal-clear security camera feed, the night of Gloria's humiliation. Sterling's voice filled the room. "Crawl, Janitor. Show us how you clean those floors." Gasps erupted from the audience. Sterling lunged for the podium. "Technical difficulties. If someone could—" But the screen split into multiple windows. One showed emails ordering the deletion of HR complaints. Another displayed wire transfers to offshore accounts, bank statements, bribe receipts, internal memos ordering document destruction. "Turn it off!" Sterling roared at his tech team. But Marcus had locked them out completely. The evidence kept coming. Years of systematic discrimination, forged safety reports, illegal dumping records. Each revelation sparked new outcry from the shareholders. Sterling tried to maintain control. "These are obvious fabrications. Security, clear the room." But his own voice betrayed him. Audio recordings of him bribing officials, threatening employees, laughing about environmental violations. The screen showed it all, an endless cascade of corruption exposed to the light. "My God," someone in the audience said. "It's all true." Shareholders began standing up, gathering their things. Board members edged toward the exits. Sterling watched helplessly as his carefully orchestrated meeting dissolved into chaos. "This is a criminal conspiracy," he shouted. "You can't just—" "Richard Sterling." The new voice cut through the pandemonium. A man in a dark suit stepped forward, flanked by others in similar attire. He held up a badge. "FBI, we have some questions about these financial records." Sterling's face went from red to white. "This is ridiculous. I demand—" "Sir." The agent's voice was steel. "Please step away from the podium." More FBI agents emerged from the crowd. They had been waiting, watching the evidence unfold along with everyone else. One of them spoke into a radio. "Building secured. Move in." Through Marcus's video feed, Gloria watched Sterling's empire crumble in real time. The man who had forced her to crawl now stood frozen, his power evaporating as federal agents approached. "Multiple agencies involved," Eric reported, reading news alerts. "SEC, FBI, Environmental Protection. They're calling it one of the biggest corporate fraud cases in history." On screen, Sterling seemed to shrink as the agents surrounded him. His eyes darted wildly, searching for allies. But his loyal executives had vanished. Even his security team stepped aside as federal agents moved in. The last thing the video feed caught was Sterling's face as he finally understood. He had lost everything. His mask of superiority cracked, revealing the terror beneath. In their hidden room, Gloria watched in silence as justice unfolded above them. A decade of abuse and corruption exposed in minutes. The mighty brought low by the very people they had tried to keep invisible. Through the utility room's small window, Gloria watched federal agents lead Sterling through the lobby in handcuffs. His Italian suit was wrinkled, his carefully styled hair disheveled. Camera flashes exploded as reporters pressed against the glass doors, hungry for the shot of the disgraced CEO's perp walk. "Get these off me!" Sterling's voice carried through the building's marble halls. "Do you know who I am? I'll have all your badges for this." Marcus kept his laptop recording, documenting every second. 10 years of being untouchable, and it all comes crashing down in one morning. On various news feeds, headlines screamed across their screens. Sterling Dynamics CEO arrested. Massive corporate fraud exposed. Racist CEO taken down by Janitor's evidence. Through the lobby's revolving doors, they could see the chaos unfolding outside. Protesters who had gathered during the meeting now cheered as Sterling emerged. Their signs bobbed in the morning air. Justice for Gloria. Black Lives Matter. End corporate corruption. Sterling's face twisted with rage as reporters thrust microphones toward him. "This is a setup. That janitor, Hayes, she orchestrated this whole thing. When I get out—" "Save it for your lawyer, sir." An FBI agent cut him off, guiding him firmly toward a waiting police car. Inside, the shareholder meeting had devolved into panic. Eric's phone buzzed constantly with updates from the trading floor. "Stocks in freefall," he reported, "down 60% and dropping. Trading might get halted." Through the security feeds, they watched executives rushing to their offices, shredding documents and deleting files. But it was too late. Federal agents were already spreading through the building, seizing computers and boxes of records. "Look at them run," Marcus said softly. "Like rats from a sinking ship." Gloria stayed focused on Sterling. The man who had towered over her life for a decade, who had treated her like dirt beneath his shoes, was now being forced to duck his head as agents guided him into the back of a police car. "You're finished, Hayes!" Sterling screamed through the window. "I'll find you! I'll destroy you!" But his threats sounded hollow now, desperate. The gathered crowd booed him, drowning out his voice. Karen from HR hurried past their hiding spot, clutching her purse and personal items. Her heels clicked rapidly on the marble floor as she headed for the exit, not even bothering to clear her office. Just yesterday, she had been Sterling's loyal enforcer. Now she couldn't escape fast enough. Gloria's phone vibrated. Vanessa Cruz, the journalist who had been pressured into killing the story. "Gloria, I'm outside. The Times wants your full story. Front page. No interference this time." The publisher himself guaranteed it. More updates poured in. The SEC was launching a full investigation. Environmental Protection Agency officials were en route. Labor departments from 3 states wanted statements about worker harassment. "They're talking class action lawsuits," Eric said, scrolling through legal forums. Other employees coming forward with similar stories. Law firms are already advertising for plaintiffs. Through the window, they watched Sterling's police car pull away from the curb. The man who had built a $2 billion empire on corruption and cruelty was headed for a holding cell, and his desperate threats echoed hollowly in the morning air. "We should go," Marcus said, packing up his equipment. "Feds will be sweeping every floor soon." But Gloria couldn't move yet. She stood transfixed, watching the aftermath of the explosion she had detonated. Shareholders huddled in groups, shouting into phones about their cratering investments. Board members hurried to waiting cars, dodging reporters' questions. Decades of carefully constructed power, undone in minutes. News helicopters circled overhead, their cameras capturing the chaos at Sterling Dynamics for the morning shows. Satellite trucks lined the street, their antennas reaching skyward like accusing fingers. "Gloria?" Eric touched her arm. "We really should leave." She nodded slowly, but her eyes remained on the scene outside. More employees were leaving now, carrying boxes of personal items, their faces shell-shocked. Some had ignored her suffering for years. Others had actively participated in her humiliation. Now they fled the sinking ship they had helped build. Through the utility room door, they could hear federal agents methodically working their way through the building. Search warrants were being executed, computers seized, filing cabinets emptied. "Side exit," Marcus whispered, through the loading dock. As they made their way carefully through back corridors, Gloria's phone kept buzzing with messages. Journalists wanting interviews, lawyers offering representation, former employees suddenly remembering their friendship. They emerged into the morning sun through a service entrance. The loading dock was deserted. Everyone was focused on the chaos out front. Gloria paused, looking back at the gleaming tower where she had spent so many nights cleaning other people's messes. The police car carrying Sterling was just visible, turning a distant corner. Gloria watched until it disappeared, then whispered words she had dreamed of saying for years. "Crawl now, Richard." Gloria's old Corolla crawled through the familiar streets of her neighborhood. After the chaos at Sterling Dynamics, the quiet here felt surreal. But as she turned onto her block, that quiet erupted into celebration. People lined the sidewalks, their faces beaming. Hand-painted signs bobbed in the evening air. "Our hero Gloria, standing tall. Justice wins." Mrs. Washington, who had lived on the corner for 40 years, waved a small American flag from her porch. Gloria's hands trembled on the steering wheel. After days of battle in the corporate world, she hadn't expected this homecoming, hadn't even thought about what it meant to her community. Children broke away from their parents, running alongside her car. "Miss Gloria! Miss Gloria!" They waved wildly, their smiles pure and bright. She recognized many of them from the building where she lived, kids she'd watched grow up, whose mothers she'd helped with babysitting when they worked late shifts. As she parked, people converged on her car. Marcus and Eric, who had followed in Marcus's car, hung back, letting her have this moment. Mrs. Washington made her way through the crowd first, her weathered hands gripping Gloria's in a firm shake. "Child, you did what many of us dreamed of but never dared," the older woman said, her voice thick with emotion. "You stood up to them. You showed them we won't crawl anymore." More neighbors pressed forward. Mr. Johnson from the barber shop pressed a bouquet of flowers into her hands. "On the house," he grinned. "For our neighborhood champion." Gloria felt tears welling up. These were people who had watched her leave for work every evening, who had helped watch her daughter years ago when shifts ran long. People who understood the daily dignity of honest work, no matter how humble. Little Tamika, age 8, broke through the crowd and wrapped her arms around Gloria's waist. "Mama says you're a warrior," she declared proudly. "Like in the movies." Gloria knelt down to the girl's level, careful of her flowers. "No, honey. Just someone who decided enough was enough." Reverend Matthews from the local Baptist church stepped forward, his deep voice carrying over the crowd. "Sometimes that's what makes a warrior, Gloria. Just deciding that today is the day things change." The gathering had the feel of a block party now. Someone had set up speakers, playing music. The smell of grilled hot dogs wafted from Mr. Rodriguez's yard. People shared stories of their own workplace struggles, their own moments of standing up. Marcus finally approached, holding his phone. "You should see this," he said quietly. "The Sterling Dynamics employees are organizing. They're forming a union. Your stand gave them courage." He showed her social media posts from workers she'd cleaned around for years but never spoken to. Executives' assistants, mailroom clerks, cafeteria staff, all sharing their own stories of abuse and discrimination, all citing her as their inspiration. "It's spreading to other companies too," Eric added, scrolling through more posts. "Workers sharing videos of their own boss's bad behavior, People are calling it the Gloria Hayes effect, standing up to corporate bullies. The celebration continued as sunset painted the sky in deep oranges and purples. Someone had brought out folding chairs, and Gloria found herself on her front porch, surrounded by neighbors sharing food and stories. Mrs. Washington's granddaughter, a law student, talked excitedly about studying labor rights. "What you did, Ms. Hayes. It's going to be in textbooks someday. A case study in worker empowerment." But Gloria wasn't thinking about textbooks. She was thinking about all the nights she'd spent cleaning Sterling's office, how he'd never once looked her in the eye, how he'd made her feel small, invisible, less than human. "You know what makes me proudest?" she said to the gathered neighbors. "Not taking Sterling down, not the media attention. It's that maybe some other worker out there, someone being treated like they're nothing, will see this and know they don't have to take it." A gentle evening breeze rustled through the trees. Children played tag between the adults' chairs, their laughter carrying on the wind. These were the people Sterling had looked down on, the cleaners, the drivers, the store clerks who kept the world running. From her porch, Gloria could see the distant silhouette of downtown, where Sterling Dynamics Tower stood. Tomorrow, there would be more interviews, more lawyers, more battles to fight. The story wasn't over. But right now, surrounded by her community's love and pride, she felt a deep peace. One of the older men from down the block raised his paper cup in a toast. "To Gloria Hayes," he called out, "who reminded us all what courage looks like." The crowd echoed his toast, cups raising under the deepening twilight. Gloria looked out at their faces, proud faces, strong faces, faces that had known struggle but never surrendered their dignity. As the stars began to appear and children were called home for bedtime, Gloria settled into her favorite porch chair. The neighborhood gradually quieted, though pockets of celebration continued down the block. She breathed in the cool evening air, feeling truly at peace for the first time in days. Marcus and Eric had left earlier, promising to update her on any developments. Her phone still buzzed occasionally with messages, but she'd turned off the ringer. This moment was for her community, for the simple triumph of standing tall. A soft smile played across her lips as she watched the last colors fade from the sky. "They wanted me on my knees," she whispered to herself, "but I was always standing taller than them." I hope you enjoyed that story. Please share it with your friends and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. In the meantime, I have handpicked 2 stories for you that I think you will enjoy. Have a great day.